Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Prospero.ai stock market live stream. Sorry for a bit of a late start here today, but better late than never. I see JC is already saying hello. Happy Monday in the YouTube chat. Hello, JC. Happy Monday to you as well. Everybody, before we get into any stream details or topics, we have to let you all know that our crowd fund is in the final days. Currently, we have crossed the $400,000 mark, and we've had over 385 investors. I'm sending it right now into the YouTube live stream. You can click on it if you haven't yet. I will also be, I'm not sure if I did yet, but I'll be posting it in the description for YouTube. So even if you're watching this live stream after it's not live anymore, the link will be in the description. So you can check it out. Just a few days left. I see Kevin Hawthorne. Good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Good morning to you, Kevin. Hello to Mario as well. JC with the money bag emoji in the comments. Hi, all. Miami Beach for the next couple of days. Look at you, Mario. Lucky you. You're in Miami, huh? Enjoy. The markets are green. What a surprise as we set to open our stream today. The QQQ is up 1.5% right now. So not just up, firmly in the green. The SPY up just under 1%. Dow Jones up about 0.5%. Russell up 1/3%. Ah, you're back at your real home. There you go. We have a lot of great topics set to get into here today. We're going to be talking about the thing that's probably moving the markets most here right now, the news that came out about China. It looks like tariff tensions are going to be going away. There was a deadline set to, begin November 1st, which was this Saturday, but it looks like they've agreed to a list of stuff that they had to work out, and it looks like that 100% China tariff is not going to go into effect. So a lot of stocks were rallying because of that. We also got a list of 5 names for the next Fed chairman, which was confirmed by Besson. So we have all the names of our possible next Fed chair. We do have an FOMC meeting this week that will also be moving markets. We also have about $15 trillion worth of market cap between Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon. I believe I got them all that are going to report Wednesday and Thursday this week. So a lot of earnings set to come our way. We'll get George's thoughts on that. Prospero also shared a stat about how 87% of companies have been beating so far this earnings season, which is historically high. So it looks like earnings is off to a good start. Probably going to get more good earnings from the mega caps. Then I have a stat I found about seasonality of, the calendar will be turning at the end of this week. This Friday is Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. But we have the 3 best months of the market and the 3 worst months. So if anybody wants to take a guess right now in our live chat, feel free. But we will be getting into the best and the worst months of the market. Then we have Warren Buffett, who has just been piling cash, piling cash, piling cash for so long. We have his total cash position right now, which is in the hundreds of billions of dollar range. But I feel like with how much the market has rallied, it's time to question: was this the right decision this whole time to hold this much cash? As stocks have ripped higher and higher. Nick is in the stream saying hello to everybody. What's up, Nick? Welcome back to the Prospero live streams. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it yet, but we've been getting good viewership, great likes on our streams, so I'm happy. It seems like all of you guys are enjoying the streams recently. Let's continue that today. We've already had close to 300 people in the stream. Like it up if you're watching on X or YouTube. Great for the algorithms. I don't know if anybody also noticed, but we got a new thumbnail for our streams. So check it out if you missed it and you just clicked on our link from our Prospero email to hop on in here. But a new good looking thumbnail for the streams. And yeah, so there's a little housekeeping for you all. A few more topics to go through. Let's see, where were we? Taco Bell is opening Live Mas cafes. So they're entering the drink space. And I'm wondering if this is a good move for them, going to propel them to grow more. Will anybody ever go to a Taco Bell for the drinks solely, or is this kind of just a necessary addition to their business? We'll talk through it. Taco Bell is owned by Yum Brands, which has the ticker YUM, I believe. Let's check real quick. Yes, YUM. So, um, and then also from the story, does any drink, companies have to be nervous about a new cafe competitor, Starbucks or Dutch Bros, or anybody worried about the Taco Bell coffee shop? Nick said, looks like we should take a look at Qualcomm today. Let's take a look. Let's first look in Prospero, and then we'll check out what the stock is doing. Qualcomm net option sentiment up to 86 right now, but the upside downside a little bit sketchy. Upside is right now at 44, downside at 53. Let's see what the stock is actually doing today. Qualcomm is up 15%. What happened to Qualcomm? Interesting. Just saw news that they plan to compete with AMD and Nvidia on chips. Wow. Well, that headline is definitely moving the stock quite a bit here. How much? What is Qualcomm's market cap? 210 billion. Interesting. Yeah, so we'll have to keep our eyes on Qualcomm signals throughout the day, see if anything changes with that upside and downside breakout. The net option sentiment is definitely really strong for them, which would lead you to believe that in the short term it's looking good. Maybe longer term, people have more questions still, or just haven't positioned yet for um, that new story in the Qualcomm options, since it's just breaking now. But definitely a big move for that stock. Thanks for bringing it up, Nick. Interesting to check out. I wonder if AMD or Nvidia. I didn't actually look at them. Are they getting a little fearful off of that news? AMD stock has been crazy. No, Nvidia's up 2.5%, near the highs of the day, and AMD might be feeling that news a little bit more. They're up just under 1% at the moment. But AMD has been such an epic rally so far this year. Hello, George. Welcome to the stream. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
One more topic to go through with our viewers, and then we'll actually two, and then we'll roll right into it. So both of these are actually sports-related topics. So Lululemon partnering with the NFL, and as we were saying earlier in the stream, with the news about the tariffs today, maybe benefit Lululemon. Their signals have been looking pretty good in Prospero, and this is a pretty major partnership, so maybe good for their business. And then last but not least, if we have time at the end of the stream today, we'll get into the NBA gambling saga a little bit. I've noticed that DraftKings stock has been quite poor recently, performing wise. We were explaining this away with the Robinhood and the prediction markets of it all affecting DraftKings business. But now, maybe after these gambling headlines and sagas are breaking, maybe everybody's rethinking whether sports gambling should be legal, or how accepted it should be within business world, society. So we will get into all that at the end. Pretty crazy week for the NBA. But we actually didn't look at the QQQ or SPY net option sentiment yet. We'll do that as we jump on into the macro beginnings. So we're seeing QQQ up to 42 and SPY at 39. So SPY just below the bull bear line of 40, but that is well higher than they were just a few days and weeks ago. We got some headlines about the China tariffs. It's looking like everybody's feeling good now. The tariffs are not going to go into effect of 100% on November 1st. Trump and Xi Jinping are set to meet later this week in person, and all the headlines surrounding it have been good so far. I feel like that's probably what made the market so bullish today. How are you feeling about what you're seeing in the Prospero signals, the bullishness we're seeing in the QQQ and SPY net option sentiment, and then those headlines we got over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing here is an expected rally around rate cut news. I think, even though it's been expected, the market has been responding very positively to that. And then, yeah, we saw one of the worst days in recent memory around when, there were threats of, more tariffs with China. So I think more stability around that. I think they said there's also expected to be a TikTok deal announced pretty soon. So yeah, it looks like things are stabilizing with China, and everything else is back to the diamond hands market, right?
We actually just posted shorts about that on all our socials this morning. The diamond's hand market. That's what 2025 is going to go down in history as. But with these tariff situations, I guess at the end of this week, they're pretty much resolved, seemingly. Um, they've dragged companies, up and down, up and down, up and down. They've been like moving the markets a lot. This specific headline and this like China tariff being resolved, who do you think it'll impact more in the near term? The Chinese companies that have been in and out of being leaders in our signals, like Alibaba, Baidu, JD, and all of those? Or is it the mega cap tech stocks? Um, who benefits more so, like currently, from this?
Um, I mean, I think it's a lot of people, but it seems to be just like it seems to be growth stocks in general. um, that are benefiting. I think that that's like kind of the easiest guy. I mean, China stocks do well, but like a lot of these like I think when there's concerns about China, a lot of these like chip stocks, AI stocks, because they're so growth, it's just growth stocks are affected by instability, especially when the market's at all-time highs. So I mean, I think that's what we're seeing, and that we can expect to see. Like it's like I think the more like growth, high valuation a stock is kind of now, I think that's going to be the biggest beneficiaries.
Now, one sector that is not a beneficiary, seemingly, by the way they're trading today from this news, is the rare earth metals and minerals companies. MP Materials is down 11%. USAR, USA Rare Earth, is down 12%. So, are these companies buy the dip good investments, or this whole time have they really been more of a way for investors to trade tensions of USA China? And now that there's seemingly not going to be as many tensions or as high of tensions, are these companies no longer, you know, as interesting to you?
I mean, there's so many stocks trading at high valuations these days that it's just like, they were high. There was a lot of stocks at high valuations, but yeah, I mean, I think they were trading at um kind of multiples that and I'd say trading up on news of tensions with China. um I think they'll take a hit, but then especially like which is also uranium. I think they'll do. I think on the long term they'll be fine.
So we got a list from Besant about everybody who's in the running to be the next Fed chairman. So there's a list of 5 people. Right now, it's currently Fed governors Christopher Wallace and Michelle Bowman, National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett, former Governor Kevin Warsh, and BlackRock executive Rick Ryder. So those are the 5 names of people who could replace Jerome Powell. We do have an FOMC meeting and decision this week. It doesn't seem like a super one of those meetings where everybody's like anticipating, like, oh, what's it going to happen? Because it's so priced in that they're going to cut. So, do you think the market will move a lot from this Fed meeting this week, or like I'm saying, like everybody kind of knows what's going to happen and the market's already trading and priced all that in this week, and the earnings are more important?
um no, I mean, I think we saw last time that everybody was expecting the rate drop to come, and then it still rallied. So yeah, I expect it, unless unless Powell unless Powell kind of comes out and says anything, potentially scary. But the inflation readings have been better. Um I'm not really sure. Like there's always something, I think if there is something that happens, it'll probably be because Powell said something that concerned people. But no, I mean, I think especially the way the market's reacting today, what we published in the newsletter yesterday about like how um 87% of companies beat earnings already, and on almost 30% reporting. Um, so it's a banner earnings year. Like, yeah, I think we're in a very solid market.
So Mario commented, China cannot be trusted any more than Trump on this supposed mineral agreement. We need our own sources. Do you kind of agree with the sentiment that although these headlines are coming out, you kind of need to wait until they're verified and enacted to really trust what's being said in the news?
These things are always going back and forth. Yeah, I mean, Trump, like, some of it's posturing, and you never know in a couple weeks if there'll be something else that sparks tension. So yeah, I agree with that. That's why I said I think these mineral companies in the long terms are very smart, because I think in the short term we really need China, especially from the rare earth minerals part. But we'd be dumb if we weren't, doing things to cultivate more here.
And you mentioned this stat that was shared about how 87% of companies have beat earnings so far. We have about $15 trillion worth of market cap set to be reported just between Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Apple and Amazon this Wednesday and Thursday. Are you expecting any reason to believe that these companies aren't going to meet or exceed expectations? Is there one you're more nervous about or one you're more excited for? And yeah, how do you feel about the upcoming earnings week with it being probably the busiest, at least market cap wise, of the season?
I'm excited for Meta. They've been doing, like, obviously we've held through a lot of the earnings. They've been doing really well in earnings, but no, I wouldn't necessarily expect any of those companies to do poorly. I mean, it's crazy what the numbers are. I mean, I was shocked, and like I said, we're going to be playing more earnings as a result.
The term we also shared in our newsletter about what's possibly happening this earnings season is engineered optimism. Can you explain that a little bit? Is that a real term or are we like terming it ourselves? And then why is that beneficial for the market in terms of behaving bullishly if the business world and the political world or whoever engineers that optimism handles it that way?
Well, the thing about it is, a lot more companies wanted to um the thinking in public companies before was that you didn't necessarily want traders in your stock, because traders meant volatility. And um if you had a big earnings announcement because you underreported, then that could cause your stock to shoot up, but then maybe shoot up too much, and then you might come down and might like revert back to like the true value. But that's what we were saying. We don't really like that is not as big of a concern. We talk about all the time companies like Palantir, Tesla, um, those companies, everybody said they would like lose their momentum and lose those valuations, but never happened, right? So that's not as much of a reality. So yeah, like as a company, you have a lot of leeway about like how you want to report. You don't have to report exactly what numbers you think you'll hit. You can intentionally report lower than you think will hit. So when you beat it, um, people are going to be more excited, and it might send your stock higher, and it might not come back down. So that's how you engineer optimism, by basically intentionally saying you're gonna do worse than you actually think you can do.
Does that strategy work forever or does it just work for like a few quarters? Because I've seen prior when like investors get a feel of how companies guide, like I think Apple's notorious for like guiding very conservative. Like it seems like they don't get as excited when those type of companies beat. So do you think this is kind of just like a 2025, maybe for the rest of the year, this type of like low guidance and caution can and like then beating it will work, but then investors will catch on to it, or can this continue into the years to come?
I mean, we're seeing, like, when we looked in the trending, like we're seeing it just increase um over the years, and as it's increasing, the market's getting kind of more frothy and like healthy. Like this is kind of a different question. Like if like the markets are eventually going to crash, um, that doesn't really change. Like maybe they'll get a little more conservative then because they don't want as much volatility. But no, it's working, and and as high as we're seeing it go now, like is a message that it's working.
So I came across a list of the best and worst months in the market historically. I don't know if you want to take any guesses or anybody in our chat wants to guess the best and the worst month of the year. I have the top three and the worst three, so I'll go through them all. But George, you want to take a shot at any you think would be the best or the worst?
Um, okay, I think the worst are September, then maybe like July. I don't really know a third. And then I think December, maybe January on the good side. I don't know. Those are my guesses.
So you nailed the worst month of the year. So we'll start with the worst month. So September is the worst month on average, returning negative 0.7% throughout the month. July was close. June is number two. That is the
Um,
only other month of the year that's negative on average, just barely negative 0.01%. This saying sell in May, go away, so it makes sense. June and July probably not the best months. Then the other worst month of the year with an average 0% of return is January overall.
no.
The best months of the year are actually July is plus 2.5%. November is number two at plus 2.3%, and April is number three at plus 1.8%. So we are about to hit the second best month in seasonality wise for the stock market this November, starting next week. Seasonality doesn't seem to have worked so far this year, but the market is so bullish. There's no reason to expect why November can't be another great month, right?
No. No reason.
We have a question from Nick on our chat. Based on the increasing NOS for SPY QQQ, if we wanted to buy calls in anticipation of the Trump China talk on Thursday, how would you recommend selecting a strike price for QQQ or SPY?
What I generally like, I mean, I have a general sweet spot for options, and I think it's kind of uh always how I think about it. Uh in terms of risk and reward. So I generally shoot for about like 120 to 180 days out. That gives you on expiration date, that gives you enough upside, um, while you're also not getting too much data burn. And then like, I never really want to own an option under 90 days to expiration. And then depending on, if you have less capital and what you want more risk, like you could go as much as like 20-25% above where above where it's trading, or then maybe 5 to 10% if you want a little lower risk. But that's my general advice for anything. Like that's I think the sweet spot as I see it for options. And if you want to be safer, don't be afraid. Like if you just want to get something that has a little more upside than a stock, um, you could always just go like a year out and like 5% above. That'll get you more upside than a stock, while really limiting um, your time value decay.
You said you never want to own an option under 90 days, and I feel like 0-day options are becoming super popular and everybody's looking for like short-term flips. Can you talk a little bit more in detail of why you would never want to hold an option that is so short term?
Yeah, like the theta, the time value decay is just as it gets closer to zero, it just gets immense, and the probability of you losing, going to zero just increases, losing it all, and like yeah, it's just a you don't really want to be losing. You don't really want to be playing against time. It's not a smart way to play the market.
Do you think do like the quant funds or any of the most sophisticated people, do they trade short-term options, or are they kind of like, I don't know, like almost like retail only would touch stuff like that?
Yeah, JC is right on the. He said you can sell options at a shorter one. Yes, that's true. That's time being on your side. Um, Yeah, sometimes it's really like I actually really like to sell shorter and buy longer. Um, that's a great way to like do a nice little pair trade. Um, I think some I think institutions are selling zero DTE options a lot more than they're buying. I mean, maybe if they have a really strong um, thesis on where the market's going, but no, it's not smart to buy options that short. That's too much risk. Most institutions know not to take on that kind of risk.
So Warren Buffett, we need to update his cash pile because it keeps on growing. It is now sitting at $344 billion for Berkshire Hathaway. And a stat that I found amazing is it's enough to buy 474 companies in the S&P 500. So he's been having this cash pile basically for our entire time we've been streaming, which is over 2 years now. Is it time to really, ask the question of like, did he make a big mistake here with how much the market has rallied and how the cash has just been sitting idle? Maybe he's getting a small return in terms of like, in bonds or something. He's getting a couple percent here or there, but the market has gone crazy. So was this a big mistake for Buffett on his way out the door? I think he's set to leave at the end of this year from Berkshire.
Yeah, I mean, some might say that, but I don't think he would. You know, it's what we always say. Like he has a system. His system has really worked, and you know, some people that have different systems might think it's a mistake. But hey, you can't argue with his long-term results. And you know, I don't think if you ask him, he'd have any regrets about it.
What people also think is that he's setting up Greg Abel to be able to attack the markets the way he wants or invest the way he wants when he does take over. So he's giving him like super a great amount of flexibility with this cash pile. Do you expect next year Berkshire Hathaway, when Greg Abel is at the helm, to make an interesting investment, a headline grabbing investment, or just a large investment? And kind of like Greg Abel, stomping his foot on the ground, like, you know, it's time for me to take over Berkshire and leave his legacy.
I don't buy that. He Buffett mainly deals in liquid things. If Abel wants to sell things like stocks, or you know, stocks are the same as cash. You don't need to leave things in cash to have someone invest in what they want.
All right, so we need to get into an interesting headline out of Taco Bell. They are opening Live Mas cafes inside of their restaurants, serving beverages such as frozen coffee and energy drinks. Do you think the combination of a nice, tasty taco with a nice frozen coffee is what Taco Bell needs to help their business? Taco Bell is owned by Yum Brands, so ticker YUM. But how do you feel about this headline? Do you think Starbucks should be worried with the new Taco Bell cafe?
I mean, I don't know. Like some people really like Taco Bell, but I don't. I'm not sure they would associate it with with I don't think Starbucks should be worried. I mean, Starbucks should be worried for different reasons. I think that they kind of have like a stale strategy and they overgrew and but no, it seems like more of a marketing gimmick. I mean, Taco Bell's very good at the marketing gimmicks, but that's what it seems like to me.
Taco Bell also shared that they expect this to create $5 billion worth of revenue by 2030, which is a bit of an ambitious goal. But I feel like you see this all the time with different food and restaurant industry. Like you had Dairy Queen, they were only ice cream, and then they pivot into like they had burgers and like lunch and dinner meals. You have IHOP, which was only breakfast, and then they try to spin into like lunch, dinner. Does it show you how difficult the restaurant industry is? And can any business survive in that industry just being focused on like one segment of it? Or do they all have to expand over time to survive eventually?
Um, is Dairy Queen doing particularly well with those menu additions?
Oh no, they never work. It never works when they like expand beyond their scope.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I think that's the mark of, you know, it's kind of like we've talked about with like other companies like, you know, AMC when they bought like the mine or like things like or GameStop buying crypto. It's like it says you don't have more ideas for your core business. So you're trying out new businesses. And I think that's a really bad sign. It's like, Dairy Queen doesn't know what new locations to open up. So they're trying to just like sell more at the existing locations. But um, if you can't find better ways to expand new markets that you can expand into and find profits there, then yeah, I think you're in trouble. And I think these are kind of like desperate gasps.
We got a follow up from Golden Parachute about Berkshire. Do you like them here as an investment?
I mean, I never really liked Berkshire. I mean, I just don't. I prefer something like Vanguard Total Return over Berkshire. I mean, especially with Buffett leaving, like maybe like historically, I might have liked it better, but I don't think Buffett before he retired was well fit for this market. We don't know anything about Greg Abel, so no, and we don't know like maybe the day Buffett actually retires, like maybe there's going to be a pretty big hit to that stock. So no, I don't like it.
Now, is there ever a scenario where you would like Berkshire? Because they seem to be very value oriented. Like in a year, for example, like 2022, when the market was, it was pretty clear that it was like a bear market the whole year. And I imagine in the QQQ and SPY net option sentiment that year, they would have been low like consistently for months. In an environment like that, would you consider them?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But I mean, for me, I don't really, that's not what I don't like to buy value in the market struggling. I like to short the market. So like that's why it's like not a fit. I want to do growth in good
Mm.
markets and I want to short the market in bad markets. So I'm kind of a bad fit for
This
value.
just this just clicked in my mind. You're always on offense. That would be like defense, essentially. Uh,
Exactly. And it's like a limited playbook to stick with your analogy, right? It's just like if your playbook is limited to go like to be long, yeah, you got to play defense sometimes. But because I want to have as big of a playbook as I have, there's always a way to be on offense.
I don't want to forget this comment we got in the very beginning. Let me scroll back up. It was about Qualcomm, and we took a look at their stock, and they were up like 15% today. It was from Nick. He said news came out today that they plan to compete with AMD and Nvidia, and it's sending the stock a lot higher right now. Their net option sentiment was 87 when we looked, but the upside to downside ratio wasn't great. Downside was actually still higher. Oh, the stock has dropped. It's actually up 12% now. It was up 15% when we started. Um, what do you make of this headline for Qualcomm? Looks like the stock is super volatile. It peaked at over 20% already and has dropped since then. So, and interesting signals. Actually, it's very interesting because our signals kind of highlight the move it's made with being so good short term, but the long term a little bit skeptical.
Yeah, I love Qualcomm. I think that that downside being higher than upside. I mean, there's just better like I think sometimes people get too cute with this stuff where it's like you're betting on like like someone that used to be a better company to like get back to glory and like they say they're going to compete or whatever. Like we just added what is it? Astra Labs, I think. Um A Lab. Astra Labs. Um a company like that as I research them, that's like really on the upswing and really has like nothing but big potential in its future. I'd rather that on like a bloated old company like Qualcomm. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get back to it. We're gonna get in the game again. Like it's like, okay, yeah, show me. You haven't really been doing it. So yeah, like that's like the kind of announcement that I just don't think is very exciting. I'd rather own a real up and coming company that hasn't like peaked and on its way down than a company that has.
That's actually kind of like the follow-up I was going to ask you because like what does that headline even mean? Like saying you're going to launch a competitor to AMD and Nvidia, it's like, well, is it going to be comparable in the performance? Because I think that's easier said than done, and that's why Nvidia has dominated the, semiconductor space for the entire AI rally because their chips are so good. So I guess we'll have to see if Qualcomm is able to actually deliver a competitive chip. You know what I also looked at this morning, which I found very interesting, because I saw Intel was trading at about $40 this morning. They are actually beating Nvidia in 2025 in terms of their returns, and they're very close to AMD. And if I had told you on January 1st of this year that Intel was going to have a better year than Nvidia, I think you would have called me crazy. But um, it's happened. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, these government bailouts, like, or these government interventions, like, what do I make of it? I still think they're a pretty bad company, but they're getting support from the government. So, like, whatever. People can trade on that. They can trade on those headlines, but I'd prefer to be in companies, and we've taken it for some rides, but I'd prefer to be in companies that are doing well on their own merits.
And JC said George is looking for the pick six when the market's going down. There you go. We got a
Boys.
always a few more topics to go through. So Lululemon announcing that they are partnering with the NFL and Fanatics around a new collection. They're going to be releasing apparel and accessories with all of the logos from all 32 teams. Lululemon is a stock that hasn't been performing great, but it's been looking a bit better in the Prospero signals. I've seen it on the short-term bull list a few times recently. Now we're getting this combining of, I think tariffs were the main problem for companies like this that were making products overseas. Now that we're seeing good news on that aspect of it and a nice new partnership with the NFL, does Lulu seem more interesting to you, especially as we're going into the holiday season, which I imagine is their best time of the year?
How's it doing today? I almost added it. If I hadn't already added um, Mercado Libre, um, I probably would have added it over the weekend. It was looking really good in our signals. Yeah, it looks like it got looks. It's a stock that looked like it got hammered a little too much, and could potentially have a really nice run.
Do you feel better overall about a lot of the retail stocks? I've seen a few in and out of the Prospero signals. I think, DECK has been one that's been in and out for a bit. Nike has been hit hard. A lot of these stocks have been hit hard. Crocs, Elf, Estee Lauder. Any of these companies, do you just feel overall better about that space with the tariff news we've gotten recently?
Yeah, definitely. Um, I mean, I think we're like largely on the other side of that. I mean, I think I don't know what's going on with the shutdown or how long it's going to last. That was like one of my main concerns about like retail and consumer spending, but nobody seems to care. Um, but yeah, I think that um, there's like a lot of the bear cases is gone. I mean, there's still that kind of like specter of all this stuff maybe adding up. Um, you know, down the line, if rates get cut a lot, and there's potentially inflation, but like the short term story, a lot of the bear case is not there.
Would anything have changed with the sectors and the high growth sectors that we were looking to invest in recently, of like, the nuclear stocks, the energy stocks, all of these high growth space industry, all of those companies would, like, retail, for example, which would be more of like a buy the dip sector. Would that appeal to you versus those other ones, that the high growth ones that we've been in recently? Or are those the ones that you're still, most interested in, going to be most ready to invest in companies within those spaces?
No, I'd rather be in the growth stocks.
All right. So we have one more topic to go through. We flew through the topics today, but if anybody has any questions, any thing we haven't brought up, any stocks, macro, micro, AI, feel free to comment them in the chat now. Even though we flew through the topics, we've had over 2,500 people in the stream already. So thank you everybody for tuning in so far today. Like the live stream if you're watching on Twitter or YouTube if you've liked it so far. By the way, we have 3 days left in the crowdfund on Republic. George, you feeling good? We crossed the 400K mark.
We did. I mean, I'm like a lot of the times people like these things really heat up at the end, so I'm hoping that we get past the 500K mark, and then That'll be a nice thing, a nice landmark.
500K. I think we're going to double up. I see 800K in our future. Let's go, everybody.
3
I
days,
shared the
that's a
link.
lot. Let's do it. Tell your friends.
I shared the link in our YouTube live chat. It's also going to be in the description of this live stream. So if you're watching this not live, it'll be there. Check it out. Um, we have one. Okay, so we have one more topic, but I see a question from Mario first. Would George call PPTA a gold play?
I mean, I think it's at least partially a gold play. Yeah, I mean, specifically, I think gold prices going up will help it. There's other things to that stock, but yeah, I would.
Okay, so there you go, Mario. The last thing I want to ask you about today is this NBA gambling scandal that came out last week. We had two people, Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, that were federally indicted, I believe, and investigated by the FBI. And it's pretty crazy to see what's been going on. And I wonder what the scope and scale of this insider gambling, whatever you call it, within the sports organizations is happening. I would imagine this isn't going to be the last story like this that comes out. Is this an ongoing threat or risk for the DraftKings of the world, the gambling companies, that if more stories like this come out, will people second guess whether gambling should be allowed? And these sports betting is the majority of the moneymaker for a company like DraftKings. And if anything were to change with the regulations or the support behind it, I mean, it would massively impact them. So, how are you feeling about it in that industry? Are you nervous about the future after this story that broke last week?
No, I'm not. I think that I think that like they have the right contacts in DC. I think there's like all this like uh Kalshi, prop bet kind of thing. I think it's got too much momentum. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Do you have any opinion on like how prevalent this is within the sports league? Like, do you think this case is a one-off, or do you think it's happening more than we think?
Oh no, I think it's probably very, very prevalent. And like putting it on the internet, um, just like brought it to a whole new level, right? Because before when you did like these sports scams, like you probably needed to get the mafia involved or like, because they would have to like have a bunch of people go into the casinos and make these small bets. Um, but now you can just have like random accounts like making like, large bets and it's too easy to do it and there's a lot of money in it. Like if you have that infrastructure and you have a bunch of accounts that you can, easily make a couple $1 million on being right on a bet, you can pay an athlete like, you know, $200,000 for, missing some shots in a game or, maybe, dishing out a few more assists. So they go over that, like that prop bet, taking less shots, just try, like there's too many ways to do it. Um, there's too many ways to do it where um it just would be too hard to trace.
My social media feed was flooded over the weekend of like Shohei Otani memes watching the NBA scandal while he's in the World Series. We have a comment from Claire. UUUU is down almost 15% today. Are we still advised to hold?
I mean, same thing we always say, right, Claire? It's still in my portfolio. I'm thinking about getting out of it, but for now it's in there.
So as long as the signals are there, the stock is there. Let's dive
They're
deeper in
down a
this.
little bit. Like net option sentiment is down a little bit. Like that's what's having me. But when a stock is down like 15% like this, sometimes I like to just give it a day and see if it recovers.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, this stock has you have like a thesis behind that whole sector of how it's getting support. It's been a high flying stock. Just because one bad day, that doesn't change your whole thesis. And even a bad day in the signals, if you have a thesis behind the whole sector, you're going to look multiple days to see them actually trending in the downward direction versus just popping down and then back up, maybe.
Look at the last week. There's like two big green candles and two big red candles. So it's just like I can't. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions too quickly.
Um, okay, that is the end of our topics for today. Are we going to be doing the model portfolio?
Yeah.
All right. So we will be doing the model portfolio. Everybody, stick with us. George will be right back on the other side, and maybe we'll take a look at you, and see if it's going to make the cut. But George will be right back in the Prospero laboratory. Flew through the topics a bit here today, but that's okay. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us here. I am battling the sun. It's like right in my face. I'm trying to shift out of it, but it's moving fast with the stream today. So sorry, the sun's in my face, but hope you all have enjoyed the stream so far. Let's take a look at the markets right now. How have they been moving since we've been live? Looks like everything is kind of just meandering sideways, a bit upwards. The QQQ has now crossed 1.5% on the day, still leading the way. SPY just under 1%. Everything's about the same. Dow Jones 0.5%, Russell 1/3%, all in the green. Let's check the SPY and QQQ net option sentiments to see if anything has changed there. Wow, they're looking even more bullish than when we started today. So the QQQ is at 49 in net options now, and the SPY is at 45. So what a major switch up in the signals just in a matter of days. We've seen them go from the basement levels of single digits and zeros all the way up above our bull bear line of 40 in those metrics. So both in the bullish areas right now, suggesting there is more green on the way. I want to take a look at the SPY, not the SPY, the Magnificent Seven stocks, see how they are moving today. If anything is leading the way. So we have Apple in the green, Amazon green, Google green and up almost 3%. So that is the biggest mover I see so far. Microsoft up, Meta up, Tesla up 5% today. Wow. Tesla is jumping. It's been rage bound since its earnings, but looking like it's getting some of its groove back here today. We checked in on Nvidia before. That was in the green about 2.5%. Going to look back at it again. Yep, has crossed 2.5%. We can also look at Bitcoin now, see if that's in the green today. Bitcoin is just ever so barely green. I feel like I've noticed when Bitcoin is green over the weekend and it kind of leads the way of the market, then on that Monday when the market is green, it kind of just chills out for a minute. It's like everything else is catching up and Bitcoin is taking a break after it was green for the weekend. Jonathan said, can you please add LAES, SLNH, and NUAI in Prospero? Right, Adley, but I'm still not seeing them. So, Jonathan, the best way to ask for a ticker in Prospero is to go in our Discord. It should be linked in the description of the YouTube live stream, but I'll get a live invite for you right now. And there is a tab in our Discord called ticker requests that you can throw them in there, and that's the best way to request a ticker. But I'm getting the link for you now. Here, I'm going to share it in the chat for you. If anybody wants to join the Discord, there's a live link for it. Yeah, so like Nick is saying, that's the best way to request a ticker. And you go on in there, throw up the ticker in the Discord, and we'll look to get it added for you. Oh, he's requested 3 or 4 times. All right. So I know there's been a lot of things going on with the end of the crowdfund. So maybe the Discord requests are going to go through after that's over and there's a little bit more free time. I know George has been doing a lot of things recently with the crowdfund having only 3 days left now to invest. So I'll have to pressure George. Maybe on Wednesday we could give perks or like a free month of trading or investing letter if anybody invests live. I'll talk to George behind the scenes. I'll try to work something out for you guys. If you become investors in Prospero while the stream is live, maybe we'll do something like that. George says try at least George has tried at least twice, or I'm not sure if there's a technical issue going on. Interesting. Well, George will be right back, so we'll get his thoughts. And here, I'll try to look up those stocks in Prospero, see if any of them pop up. Maybe there is something wrong. Okay, the first one, no. Oh, SLNH. I'm seeing it. Okay, so SLNH is in there, Jonathan. The first one I did not see. Let's see, NUAI. I see NUAI as well. It seems like they have little to no metrics in our signals, though. Like for NUAI, only growth and dark pool and short pressure are showing up, but and net social. But I am seeing some of those in Prospero right now that you were commenting before. Maybe it just updated. The only one I don't see that you mentioned, Jonathan, is LAES. Oh, we lost George. We had him and we lost him. Jonathan, maybe if you close your app and reopen it, maybe those stocks will be there. I'm not sure. Let me know if you see them in there, though. The second two you mentioned were there for me. We went back in the QQQ and SPY to the levels we were at before. Just when you were switching over streams, George, that we saw 49 and 45 for QQQ and SPY. Now they're back to 44 and 39, but pretty bullish levels overall.
Yeah, Jonathan, on those ticker ads, I have to look into them more. Like if the system doesn't add them like on their own, like it's not that I haven't been adding them. It's just I got to look into them. It's a special case. Like I just don't have time right now. Sorry. When the crowd fund is over, I will have more time. Let's...
You're welcome, Jonathan. For anybody just tuning in the stream live now, we are doing the model portfolio update. So you'll see live adds and drops in the Prospero model portfolio that has largely outperformed the market.
Definitely time to get rid of some of these. I gotta share my screen in a second. Boy, I can't believe it's October 27th.
George, on our Wednesday stream, if anybody invests in Prospero on Republic, is there any way to like give out like a free month of the investing letter or something to those people?
Yeah.
Would you be down to do that?
Absolutely. Did people say? Are people asking for that?
No, I just kind of promised it while you were gone. I was saying I'm going to work with George. But
Yeah, we'll give
glad to hear
a
you're
free
on
month
board.
the investing and the trading letter to anyone that invests live.
All right, so everybody, back here Wednesday at 3 p.m. That's going to be our next live stream. If you invest in Prospero on Republic while we're live on stream, you get a free month of both investing and trading letter. There you go. Pretty cool.
Okay. Let's share the screen. A really good day for consumer discretionary.
No surprise to see large cap growth rallying on such a strong day for QQQ, SPY, net option sentiment. See if we can identify. Missed it. Technology, communications, and consumer discretionary are the obvious bulls. While utilities stands out as bear.
What are these now?
QQQ is 44 and SPY is 39.
$44 and what? Sorry.
39.
Does it do this? If anyone knows, I think it's like a new Excel feature, but I don't know why it does that. I just like lose my cursor. UU is just on the border. We're going to give it a day. Okay, let's see. What are we doing next? Oh, that's interesting. QQQ and TQQQ are up here. How many open Robinhood positions do we have? I can probably check that pretty easily. I don't know. We're definitely gonna get one of them. Oh, look at that. Interesting.
Maybe AppLovin can catch a boost from good Meta earnings.
I want some tech shorts, large cap tech shorts, just to balance. We're taking on a good amount of risk here, so.
Question from JC. For the move score column in the momentum sheet, is that a moving average of that signal's score?
No, it's a combination of different moving averages. Let's see what we got.
Gilbert said, not sure if it's already been covered, but the trading letter portfolio doc hasn't updated for me since 10:15. This is the model portfolio 2 is the new one, right?
Yeah, does this link to the first one? Ah, damn it. Yeah, it just stopped updating, so we had to just make a new one. Sorry about that. Want a few small cap companies. All right, any other questions?
Last calls for question, everybody.
Yep. Just as we're gonna keep you to the end, just to remind everyone, it is the end. It is the end of the crowdfund. Sorry, I'm a broken record. But yeah, I know a lot of you are asking for features, things like that. Just want to emphasize that we're not quite near where we would want to be to roll out a lot of the things that people requested. We're going to roll out the things that we've said we will. The alerts, web app, but like a lot of the like add-ons, the custom screeners, things like that. We're not at those levels yet. So if you want to see those things sooner rather than later, help get the word out about us.
Mm-hmm. And we'll be live Wednesday, 3 p.m. And if you invest while we're live, you get a free month of our investing and trading letter. So there you go. JC and Nick are saying thanks for the stream. Awesome stream today. Thank you guys for tuning in again. We will be back, like I said, Wednesday. See everybody then. George is out of here. Just before the mega cap earnings reports. So have a great day, everybody. And we'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.